the morning light, and that there was one woman who blew herself up with a suicide vest. We're going to go to international security expert Will Geddes for a little bit more perspective on what just went down here in Paris and also the impact. Will.
Good morning, Christiane.
Give me a sense of your assessment of what's happened and how it'll impact the situation on the ground going forward. Obviously, we're waiting to see whether the big name that we're all waiting to see was targeted, is either dead, arrested, or not there, Abdelhamid Abaoud. What do you think will be the result of some of those who've been arrested today? What will they be able to provide?
Well, I think there's going to be a rich treasure of information that's going to be able to be drawn from the individuals that they're successfully arresting. And if Abaoud, as you say, is one of the individuals within the apartment, this will be incredibly important to try and take him alive to get as much information as they possibly can. Ultimately, as he is seen as an intrinsic, if you like, trigger person or central key figure for IS operations in Central Europe. And he will no doubt have a wealth of intelligence that he'll be able to share with the authorities.
And Will, when you've heard all this discussion that we've been having about, the fear of proliferating attacks and the way that the security and intelligence are not just stretched around Europe, even if there is the manpower, there's sometimes not the time to go after the thousands of people who are now, being looked at, radicalized, people who've gone to Syria, people who are coming back.
Absolutely. In terms of the Dawn raids and the various raids that the French authorities have undertaken this week alone is unprecedented. And inevitably, it's a very robust statement that François Hollande wants to send out to all the individuals that may have ever appeared on their French intelligence agency's radars to try and shake the trees as best they can to see what falls out, to see if there were any other plots that potentially they weren't even aware of, where there were caches of weapons. And again, there were a number of weapons which were found. Whether the authorities were aware of that prior to those Dawn raids or not, again, we'll probably only find out in time. But the most important thing, I think, right now, certainly with this incident happening in St Denis, is why the mastermind would be still in Paris. Most times for terrorist attacks, certainly the key organizers, if you like, orchestrators of these types of operations, will be as far away as they possibly can from the scene of the incident, which would lead us to believe that obviously this operation could have thwarted potentially another succession of attacks.
Or, by the same token, it could indicate that the place was so sealed that these people didn't dare move away and had to get to some kind of safe house almost in plain sight.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a very valid point, an extremely valid point. And they could have believed that certainly they needed to take refuge in what we can only speculate to be one of their safe houses until such time as obviously the attentions drew down. But bearing in mind, François Hollande made a very, very quick statement that he was going to effect a state of emergency across France, then evidently, obviously, within this not only immediate period, but some period to come, they wouldn't have been able to move outside of that safe house.
Will Geddes, thank you very much for that perspective. And we are going right now to Brussels and our senior international correspondent, Ivan Watson. Ivan, the name Abdelhamid Abaoud is going to live on. He is believed to be the mastermind of this horror that was committed in France on Friday. And obviously, people believe that, well, he was the target of today's operation, whether he was there or not. Round out the picture of who he is and just tell us more about him.